Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, the private West Central Bank, the World Economic Forum, you can see that Trump and the Patriots right now, they have trapped them in their entire narrative. And think about what Trump and the Patriots have done. They have shown that the central bank system, the entire economic system, is one gigantic illusion, and it's being exposed to the people. And once again, I do believe what's going to happen as people start to learn that the central bank system does not benefit the people, it's actually working against the people, just like everything else that we see that the deep state, the central bank does. We're going to start to realize that Trump now is shifting us away from this illusion. But first, he needs the people to understand. Look how they manipulate the entire economic system to make you believe the economy is doing well. And this goes all the way back to the 70s. Because once we came off the gold standard, they had to put certain things into place and they had to manipulate certain calculations to make you believe the economy was strong. And they manipulated GDP calculations, they manipulated inflation calculations, they manipulated unemployment calculations. And as they were manipulating the calculations, they also had to start shipping the jobs and the corporations, the manufacturers, out of this country. Because as the value of the currency breaks down, you need to have these corporations, the manufacturers, set up shop in locations around the world where you have slave labor, where you can produce the product very, very cheaply and send it back to this country without tariffs. And this is what they have done. So going all the way back to the 70s, they lied about the entire economic system. And they're continually lying to the people about the economic system. Now, think about it. Think about what Trump just uncovered. I don't think he really uncovered. I think he knew all the time, but he's actually showing the people they lied under the Biden administration. They lied about the job numbers. They lied about the GDP numbers. They lied about the entire economic system. And think about it. They put a certain person into place, Erica McEntharfer, and she lied about the job numbers, saying, oh, yeah, Biden's creating all these jobs. Oh, look, it's incredible. The Fed just went along with it. Remember, they're the PhDs. They're supposed to be really looking out for the economy. They had the mandate to keep everyone fully employed and make sure there's no inflation. They're doing a terrible job on both mandates. Actually, if I was looking at it, which I am, they failed. They should be removed immediately. But once again, think about it. They went along with it because it's completely and utterly political. They weren't trying to help the people. They were actually hurting the people. And every single person in this country should be angry because it affects every single person. When you lose your job, when you have to shell out more money for the groceries or to pay for fuel, they're the ones who did this. They hurt the people of this country. And I think C3 pretty much sums it up. Biden appointed Erica McEntharfer, lied about the job numbers by 2 million jobs created during the Biden presidency. The economic damage these false numbers did to America is incalculable. This is criminal. And C3 is absolutely right. They did this on purpose. It wasn't a glitch. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't like, oh my God, I forgot how to do math. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they were pushing the illusionary economy forward. Now, did it start with the Biden administration? No, I do believe what Trump and the Patriots did, since he let the resident live in the White House, he knew that he would be able to use this later on. Use it against the Federal Reserve. Use it against the deep state players. Because how else do you show the people? You actually have to have the people experience it. You have to see that they actually manipulated the numbers. Otherwise, no one will believe you. Everyone would think you're crazy. Oh no, this is the way the economy is supposed to run. This is normal. Revisions, they're normal. It's not normal. And this is what he's showing everyone. So I do believe as he continually shows the people are going to start to understand that we've been living in an illusionary economic system. And forget about everything else. I'm just talking about the economy right now. But we've been living in an illusionary country for a very long time. Things that people believed in, well, they've been lied to for a very long time. But that's a whole nother story. Now, what's very interesting is that Judge Julia Cobb, and Nick sort of put this out, blocked Trump from firing Lisa Cook. I don't think we're surprised about this because, once again, they're sorority sisters. And basically, she now can stay in this position until Trump appeals it, which he's going to do and which he's doing right now anyhow. And you can see that the deep state, the central bankers, they're going to fight back with everything they have because, again, they don't want the rates to come way, way down. They might do it by a quarter point, maybe a half a point, but they're not going to bring it down a point and a half, 2 points, because once again, this would show that Trump's economy is working, and all of a sudden the economic system would accelerate, and people would look to see that, oh, it was the Fed that was the problem, not Trump. The Fed is the problem in all of this. And I think this is why Trump and the Patriots, this is why they actually showed that the economy under Biden was one gigantic illusion. And I do believe if we go back in time, we're going to start to realize that all the numbers that they've been producing, they're completely and utterly fake, phony, and false. And what Trump has to do right now, which he is doing, he has to reset everything. He has to actually bring the real calculations back into the fold, because as we move away from the central bank system, as we transition into the people system, we need to make sure that we have true data that we can actually use, not the fake data where the Fed can make political decisions and try to down the economy, bring us into their great reset. We need actual real calculations and real data. But you can see that Trump and the Patriots, they have pretty much cornered the Fed, and they're trapped like wild animals, because in August, the PPI inflation is fallen to 2.6%, below expectations of 3.3%. Core PPI inflation fell to 2.8%, below expectations of 3.5%. So basically, this is ammunition for Trump for the Fed to lower the rates. Now, once again, think about it. The employment numbers, this is giving Trump ammunition for the Fed to push the Fed to lower the rates. Now we have the PPI inflation that is dropped. This is now he's pushing the Fed to lower the rates. Let me ask you something. If you've built 100,000 or more in investments, do you really want all of it riding on the stock market? Think about it. Banks, billionaires, even entire countries are loading up on physical gold and silver. Why? Because when markets swing, real assets hold their value. That's why I want to tell you about Noble Gold Investments. They make it simple to own investment-grade gold and silver, the kind the big players are buying. And you can actually hold it in your hand or put it safely in your retirement account. You've worked hard to build your wealth. Isn't it time you protected it? Noble Gold is family-owned, trusted by thousands, and ranked number one in gold IRAs for 4 years in a row. Their precious metal specialists are standing by to answer your questions and walk you through every step. Simple, safe, and easy. Visit x22gold.com. That is x22gold.com. Or just click the link in the description. And remember, past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions. Basically, the Fed really has no choice. Now, of course, they're going to try to spin it. They're going to say, oh, yeah, we lowered the rates by a quarter point. Are you happy right now? But again, this is not what Trump needs for the economy. Now, I do believe the Federal Reserve knows this. Those people that are controlling Powell, who are way above him, unelected, they know this too, because their main mission is not to help the everyday person. Their main mission is to destroy the economic system and bring us into their new system. Trump has countered all of this with his parallel economic system, and he's putting a lot of pressure and exposing the Fed along the way, because eventually what needs to happen is that we need to detach ourselves from the Federal Reserve. And Trump, he put this out on Truth. He said, just out, no inflation. Too late, must lower the rate. Big, right now. Powell is a total disaster. Who doesn't have a clue? President DJT. Now, he's absolutely right. He must lower the rates big time. Does he have a clue? Yes, he's being instructed on what to do. He knows exactly what's going on, and he knows that he should be lowering the rates. He knows that the numbers were a lie. I mean, if they don't, let's put it this way. If they don't know that the unemployment numbers were a lie, they don't understand inflation. We truly, really don't need the Fed. Now, maybe this is what Trump is trying to say. They don't have a clue in what they're doing, so do we really need the Fed? Which might be what he's saying. But I do believe that's what Trump is saying to the people, showing the people that the Fed has no clue, which means why are they running the economy? Why are they in charge of anything? But behind the scenes, we know that they know exactly what they're doing. They're trying to destroy the economic system. And this is why Trump has built the tariff system, because he knew going back in time, looking at history, that this would challenge the Federal Reserve. And that's exactly what he's doing right now. He's challenging the Federal Reserve. He's competing with the Federal Reserve, and he's going to show everyone that, look, what I'm doing is much, much better for the people. It benefits the people. And actually, how does it benefit the people? Very simple. All you got to do is think of one thing. You don't pay income tax. Because once Trump shows everyone, under my system, you don't have to pay income tax. You get to keep every dime that you make. That's how it benefits you. Plus, all the other things that come with it. Lower energy, manufacturing jobs, high-paying jobs, your buying power back. You name it. Think about what the Fed gives you. They collect more and more taxes from you. Jobs are scarce. Actually, their inflation erodes your buying power, which means you need more of those pieces of paper to buy the same exact things. So what would you rather have? My system or their system? And I think it's going to become very, very clear as time goes on. And Trump now has cornered the Fed, and there is no escape for them. There's only one thing they can do is most likely have some type of an event, which I do believe they're probably planning on, because this is the only way they can get out of this. But the other thing that's really interesting, and you can see that Trump, he has all the leverage right now. The Supreme Court has been quite busy this week already with multiple orders issued pertaining to cases involving the Trump administration. In addition to issuing an administrative stay on the USAID funding cases, the court also granted the Trump administration petition for Centauri on the tariff cases, agreeing to take up the matter just a week and a half after the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit issued a rather stunning ruling affirming the Court of International Trade decision, which set aside 5 of President Trump's executive orders imposing tariffs. As indicated, the court is scheduling oral arguments in the cases for the first week of November. The next question is, what will that mean for the Court of Appeals, which withheld its mandate until October 14th to allow for an appeal to be filed? And of course, what steps the administration might take in the interim to mitigate the effect of the court appeals decision on its trade policy. So yes, that is going to be very, very interesting, because once again, if all of a sudden this tariffs stop, this is going to send ripples through the economy, and the judges, they're going to be responsible for what comes next, just like the judges are responsible for what happened on the train where that woman, Irina, was stabbed to death. The judge is actually responsible for that. Because think about it, that individual was in and out or released, 12, 13, 14 times. So the same thing here. Judges need to be held accountable. If they're deciding on a case, they must understand that, no, this is not just one person. This is an entire country. And if all of a sudden we have mass layoffs and the economy goes into a death spiral, who's to blame for this? It's them, because they didn't understand what their ruling would do to this country. You see, we didn't elect the judges. We elected Trump. He promised us that he would improve the economy. He promised us that he would get rid of the taxes. He promised us all of these different things, that he would make the economy great again. And that's what he's doing right now. And again, he just proved to the entire country that the Biden administration, the Fed, they're responsible for the recession that we're in right now. And I've said this many, many times before. The recession really started probably late 2023, early 2024. And I do believe we're going to find out that, yeah, that's when it really started. And Trump has been bringing us out of the recession, and the Fed has been trying to stop him from bringing us out of the recession. Because remember, their plan was to have the entire economic system completely collapse under Trump, to bring us to where? To the Great Reset. That was their plan from the very, very beginning. They never expected all this to happen with the tariffs, with him removing the regulations, drilling like crazy, bringing the energy costs down. They never expected him to make all these deals, trillions of dollars of deals, to bring manufacturers, companies back to this country. And they didn't expect it to happen this quickly. And they really, really did believe that all of a sudden, small businesses, stores, they were all going to start raising prices. They didn't understand that this is not how tariffs work. Because when you're trying to be competitive in the real world and you're competing with some of the manufacturers here in this country and you don't want to lose business, well, you're going to have to take a hit on profits. Now, we also have to remember a lot of these manufacturers who are out in these third world countries, they make an incredible profit. Their profit margin is huge. I think Trump and the Patriots, they knew this. They knew that they weren't going to say, hey, you know something, we're going to keep the profits and we're going to actually tack this on to every single consumer, because they know the consumers are hurting right now. They know that the consumers would say, well, I can't afford this right now, so I'm not going to pay for that. I will switch over to a different brand, maybe the one that's made in America because there are no tariffs here. They kind of knew this. And Trump and the Patriots knew that they were taking a huge chunk of the profits, and they knew that they would be able to take a hit and actually pay for the tariffs. And remember, the tariffs are done on the amount that is brought to the first wholesaler. So once again, it's pennies on the dollar. It's not as it's shipped here and the cost that you're getting. It's minimal when it's coming out of the country. That's the first tariff and that's it. It's done. And I think Trump and the Patriots, they knew this from the history, from the past history. They knew that they would take the hit and we would not see tariffs all over the place. Now, in the very beginning, they try to convince everyone, oh, look, all these companies, they're saying, because of what Trump's doing, here's the tariff. That's not how it works. And they try to convince people that this is the way it works. But everyone's starting to realize, yeah, that's not the way it happens. And this is why people are going to the store and they're not seeing the higher prices. Plus, the energy costs are coming down. And that means you have more buying power. It doesn't cost as much to transport or actually manufacture the products here in this country. And that actually also adds into your increased buying power. Now, Trump also implemented no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, which also increases your buying power. So even if there were certain items where you saw them move up, they'd be countered with lower energy costs. They would be countered with the no taxes. And he wanted the Fed to bring the rates down. So this way, you don't have the high rates on credit cards. You don't have the high rates on loans. You'd be able to afford things a lot easier. And this is the reason why he's been pushing very, very hard. And as of right now, you can see he set it all up and he exposed the Federal Reserve on how they're not benefiting the people. He exposed how the Federal Reserve works with the deep state players on how they create an illusionary economic system which hurts the people. And now he has them exactly where he wants them because now the people see it. And this is going to make it a lot easier for Trump to shift us away from the Federal Reserve. And this is just the beginning. This is not the end. This is the beginning. And a lot more is going to be exposed as we go down the line. And I do believe in the end, the Federal Reserve will cease to exist the way we know it today. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.